Hey guys, Brian here. I was gonna give you guys or show you guys how to add Google Earth or satellite imaging. It's not necessarily Google Earth. You could use Google Earth and stuff, but anyway, we'll explain that here a little bit later. Of how to. This is, I have Insight USA in this unit, and for the particular lake I fish, this is what I get. It hasn't been mapped, it's just a river. So, and I was going to show you what you can do to add this feature. I'll put in my SD card, and the map will load. Give it a second. And there you go. So, if you notice, it's pretty cool. So now I can see where I'm going. I can look at islands and stuff like that. It really works great for lakes that have a lot of stumps and stuff. So now I don't get that stupid, useless default. Now when I zoom out, you'll notice that's due to the Insight map creator, the way I created the map. But when I zoom in farther, then usually you're going to have your map zoomed in somewhat. So anyway, this is what we're going to cover, how to get this onto your Lowrance HDS unit. I'm using a Gen 1. My unit seems to be a little bit slower with this mapping in it. As far as going across the lake or going across the water, it doesn't really make a difference, but like changing pages and stuff, like I just hit the page button, it's a little slow to react, and that's just to the processing power in Gen 1 units. So, but anyway, so we'll go to the computer and show you how I did this. Okay guys, I'm going to try to be short and sweet on this. I'm going to try to keep it under 5 minutes to show you. You'll need to download two programs, Insight Map Creator and sas.planet. Here's the links to them. Right here's the download link for the Insight Map Creator. It's available off of Lowrance's website. You can also create a password and account and download it that way too, but this link here should take you right to you should start downloading it right when you get this. Type in this link here, and I'll try to post that in the video description. The other program you'll need is sas.planet. I just did a Google search for sas.planet, and the very first one I ended up getting was Bitbucket. So I got that one, and I'm using 1404. It was the latest stable release, and so I'm using 1404, and just download that. There's several places you can download it, sas.planet. So you get those two pieces of software. First thing you want to do is open sas.planet. Okay, I already have a lake pulled up here, Bone Creek, in Kansas. So, and there's different maps you can choose from up here. Actually, on the original download, I've moved my toolbars around. Yours may look different than mine because I've moved mine around a little bit. But maps, here's your Google satellite. And the one I use most of the time is ESRI, ArcGIS imagery. That's the one I use the most of the time. And the reason for that is you can pick whichever one you think is better for the lake. You might look at a lake and think one's better than the other. And I'll show you the reason, because it has to do with the time they took the pictures. Like, they took this on a clear day, no wind. But if I go to Google satellite, there was a bunch of wind on the lake that day when they took the picture. There's parts of the lake you can see, the stumps and trees and stuff. But for the majority of the lake, you can't see anything because it's clouds overhead and wind and stuff. So on this particular one, I used ESRI imagery. So once you get that, these files can be pretty big for, like, say, lakes that are the size of like Grand Lake and stuff. I mean, it take a while to compile all the information. But anyway, the main buttons you want to worry about is well, your zoom button here, and you can just use your mouse scroll button to zoom in and zoom out. But zoom 16, right now we're at zoom level 16. This here shows you what you have downloaded, or tiles they call it, the tiles. We're at zoom 16, so if I click on 16, it'll turn gray and show the tiles that have been downloaded. If I go to 17, they should all been downloaded. 18, you'll notice that not all of the lake have I downloaded. So what you can do this one of two ways. You can either zoom in, this up here, zoom 16, but I'm looking at what I downloaded at zoom 18. So you can zoom down to zoom level 18. If you'll notice, the boxers, or the tiles, are automatically filling in. And so you could do that manually for each, for the entire area of the lake, like that. There is another way to do it. Instead of having to scroll around the lake, you can go and click and create a rectangular selection, or these selections here. You can just select, like, say, visible area. Say if I need to pick up this part here, I'll zoom in, and I'm going to change it to 19 because it just downloaded all that. So I'm at zoom level 19. So if you click on visible area, give it a second, and a little box will pop up. And we're going to change this zoom level to 19 to match with the tile area we're looking, to match this number here. So we're going to download all of the tiles for zoom level 19. Click start, and it'll download those tile areas for that. If you click on the map and zoom in and out, you can actually see it downloading those. And it downloads them in sequential order. See, there it is, filling in. So automatically, and I'm not having to move around the map or nothing. So that's another way you can download these tiles. And it'll say here, task is completed. So you can quit that. And then, so you can quit that, and so like, here's some more tiles we could download. But anyway, you get the gist of it. We need to download the tiles, and you need to do that from 16 to zoom level 20. You notice I've downloaded very few for zoom level 20. To do this, what I do is I will, say, do a visible area, or I'll make a polyline selection or something like that over here, and make a line or draw, or whatever. Basically, it boils down to, you want to get the tiles to cover the lake. And so I usually will select visible area, and I'll start at change this to zoom level 20, and I'll start the download, and I'll just walk away for a while. It all depends on your internet speed too. And I'll just start it, and the higher the number of zoom level, or zoom level 20 is going to take longer than, say, zoom level 16, for sure. So may take a little while. So I'll just start it and walk away, go do something else for a little bit, check on it every once in a while, and eventually it'll be done. Once you get all your tiles downloaded, you're going to click on visible area if you want, and then you're going to use this function here, export. And this is the key part. Export selection, we're going to change that to KML for Google Earth. And we're going to save it to, you can save it to wherever you want. I'm going to save it to desktop. I'm going to name it Bone Creek. Save. And then I'm going to select 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, because those are the ones that I've downloaded. I haven't downloaded them all, but anyway, I'm just showing you how this works. So then you'll click start. It'll download and create a KML. So it's already finished. With you, it'll take a little bit longer. I didn't download all the tiles. And then notice here we have a Bone Creek KML now. Now this is where Insight Map Creator comes in. Okay, so on Insight Map Creator, first thing you'll probably want to do is create you a folder on the desktop. And call that whatever you want. You can call it, I'm just going to call mine Bone Creek. Keep things simple. I spelled it wrong, but whatever. And so that's going to end up being used here a little bit later. So in Insight Map Creator, we're going to go to View. We're going to change the processing mode to keyhole pattern. And then we're going to add file or files. We're going to add that Bone Creek KML file that we created earlier. So we're going to click on that. Mine's on my desktop. I'm going to open it. I'm going to click build. This doesn't usually take too long. It all depends on how many tiles and how much area you're trying to cover, how long it's going to take. Sometimes on my computer it'll pop up not responding. Don't worry about that, not responding. Even if it lasts for a minute or two, just don't worry about it. My computer does it too. So it says process complete. So now we're going to click on view, and we're going to change the processing mode now to raster mode. And we need to pick where our source folder is at. In other words, we need to tell Insight Map Creator where the tiles are located. So we're going to click Add Folders, and you want to go to wherever your sas.planet is. Mine's in my C directory, so I'm going to click on there, and then I'm going to click on Cache, and then I'm going to click once on ArcGIS Imagery. If you double click it, you'll see the different zoom levels we downloaded. We want to get all of those. I guess you could probably shift and select every one of them. It's just easier to just highlight imagery. Click choose. And then for your minimum resolution, usually minimum is always 1. And then max resolution has to do with how far, when you're zoomed out, you're going to see your overlay. 16 is pretty much, covers a pretty good area. So I'm just for simplicity, you could usually pick 16. Some people may, you could leave it for 8192. But really this is Lowrance dependent, but
I'm just going to do 8 because it'll process faster for me. You can play around with these settings and load in the maps. I recommend you don't use your like Hot Maps mapping card or your Navico or whatever your other mapping cards. Um, get a separate SD card to play with to do this. Don't put information on there, load this stuff on a map card that you already have. Get another SD card to do this just in case something screws up. Plus these files are pretty big too, so it might fill up your mapping card pretty quick. So I'm just going to pick 8. Usually I go with 16. So I'm going to click 8. Now this Bone Creek directory or the folder we created, that's what we're going to use that as for our working directory. So I'm going to click Browse. I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to click on that Bone Creek folder. Click Choose. Okay, so now this is where our mapping files, our bounded files or bound files are going to go. The other thing you want to do before you click Build, you want to go to Advanced Options, Atlas, or sorry, not Atlas, Raster Options, and check Filter Image Boundary. It'll make it look so much better on your HDS. If you don't check that, you'll get a big old black area around your map and it just doesn't look good. So Filter Image Boundary. So once you got that, click Build. Okay, so I kind of skipped forward here a little bit, and I picked 8, and it's still going here. Really depends on how big your map is, how long it's going to take to process. It goes pretty quick for smaller files. Now, if you're trying to do something like the size of Grand Lake, it could take up to 2-3 hours. I had one that almost took half a day to process. So it can take quite a while. The min resolution is really what affects how long this is going to take. The min resolution is the zoom level. If you were to zoom in all the way, that number 1 is that min resolution 1 is that zoom level zoomed in all the way. 8's a couple steps out from being zoomed in all the way out. So, okay, I'm thinking we're just about done processing. I've kind of skipped a couple steps, or I mean I've skipped forward in the video. So it should finish here in just a second. Okay, process complete. Okay, so we are basically done with IMC. We've created our map. So if we go into our Bone Creek folder, you'll see we have bound AT5s. And then if you look inside there, there's our files. You'll notice the Zoom 1 or 3D Texture 1 is 50, so you can see that this file size gets smaller as the zoom level is less, which makes sense. We didn't do 16. You guys can try 16 if you want, or mess around. I mean, it took me experimenting, and luckily I have a power supply here in the house that I can bring in and bring my HDS unit here in the house and play with it. So I'm not taking an SD card and going out to my boat and coming back inside, playing on the computer, going out in the boat, back and forth. So I can just sit here at the computer and put it on these files on an SD card and load it in, see how it looks. They recommend that you put in a folder called, trying to think what it's called, Shaded Relief. Create a folder on the SD card called Shaded Relief and put these folders or put these files in that folder. I messed up, and one time I didn't create that folder called Shaded Relief, but it still worked fine. The HDS still recognized it, so. In fact, I just dropped this folder bound AT5s right on the SD card, and the HDS recognized it. So, your results may vary, but anyway, it should work. It works on my Gen 1. Gen 2s, I don't have a Gen 2, so I'm not sure what the results. I know it'll run a lot faster on a Gen 2, that's for sure. Now, one thing is I didn't show you in the, on mine, is that when you're looking at the satellite overlay, you're going to have the water blue. You won't see, if you don't see the actual satellite image of the water, but you get blue water instead, go into your map settings, and under, I think, categories or whatever, I believe it's categories, and if you scroll down through that list, there's basically a checkmark box called water in that list. Uncheckmark water, and then it'll show the water as a satellite image too. I had forgotten to show that in the start of the video on how to do that. Mine automatically, I've already have it changed, and so it already pops up. So anyway, I think that's basically the best way I can explain it. You guys will have to fiddle around with it and kind of play with it. You're not going to screw up anything. Just use a separate SD card and play with it. I spent probably a week just fiddling with this stuff. One interesting thing in sas.planet, under maps, you have marine maps. What's funny is it's navionics. So let me zoom out a little bit and I'll show you something interesting here, if I can find it. Well, here, I'll go to Grand Lake and show you. Okay, here's Grand Lake. So they actually have navionics here on this software, which kind of blew my mind. And I actually created, and they're pretty good actually. I mean, 1-foot contours. Even shows the dock outlines and stuff like that. And I played around with this, creating a few folders. You can see it because I zoomed in to level 18, or I'm sorry, 20 here, and I have my tile selection, or to show tile selection show for tile selection zoom 20, and it, because I was zoomed in at 20, it downloaded that section because I was zoomed in that far. But anyway, I played with this. I'm not going to explain how to do this. It's basically the same way I showed you earlier, except you have to fiddle with your zoom levels. You have to mess with your zoom levels in both IMC and this here. I think you want to use like zoom level 21 or something if you want really good contours. I think I did 20 to like 17 or something like that, and then I messed around with the IMC zoom levels. So anyway, I think that's all I have for you guys, so have fun playing with it. Hopefully you'll find this information useful. I'll catch you guys later. Till next time, good luck.